Good evening. And first at 5, a high-profile arson case now has a suspect in handcuffs. Vancouver police telling us they have arrested the man who set fire to the mayor's house. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molka.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Investigators say the suspect also broke into a restaurant near downtown Vancouver. Mike Benner brings us more now from Clark County.
We're outside the Clark County Jail in Vancouver. This is where the suspect, Aiden Michael Murray, is being held on a number of charges. Those charges include arson and burglary, among others.
It's hard to miss the damage to the front door of El Burrito Mojado in Vancouver. This, the owner says, is how a man later identified as Aiden Murray broke into the business early Wednesday morning. Restaurant management noticed the burglary on security cameras and notified police, who made a quick arrest.
I'm tickled, but also very cautious.
Vancouver Mayor Anne McInerney-Ogle was among the first to learn of the arrest. That's because detectives believe the burglary suspect is the same man who tried torching the mayor's house Monday night. We're told around 9:30 that night, the mayor's husband confronted a man who was starting a fire near the couple's garage. The man took off running, only to be busted inside the Mexican restaurant about 48 hours later.
The police have done, and the fire marshal have done a wonderful job of collecting evidence and videotaping and security and such.
Mayor McInerney-Ogle says the night before the arson at her home, somebody burglarized her house. While investigators are tight-lipped about that, the mayor says she wouldn't be surprised if the same person is behind it all, and it's all politically motivated.
They took a lot of evidence and fingerprints and DNA stuff. We'll know soon.
What we know right now is that a guy by the name of Aiden Murray is suspected of setting fire to the mayor's house and breaking into a Vancouver restaurant. Allegations that have landed Murray behind bars.
The suspect, Aiden Michael Murray, is due in court Thursday, at which point we should learn a lot more about this case. Reporting in Vancouver, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
The possibility of a nationwide rail worker strike is already affecting Amtrak trains in the Pacific Northwest. More than 50,000 conductors and engineers across the country are prepared to strike. Our Bryant Clerkley joins us now. And Bryant, this is already impacting people who have trips planned.
Yes, Laurel, one man I spoke with had his Amtrak train to Wisconsin canceled yesterday. Amtrak says starting tomorrow, all long-distance trains are canceled to avoid possible passenger disruptions. The company says this is just what it has to do. With the possibility of a nationwide rail workers strike looming, Amtrak says all long-distance trains will be canceled starting Thursday. Two unions with 57,000 conductors and engineers are prepared to strike if there's no deal on a contract. This does not involve the Amtrak workforce, but their trains often use freight railroad tracks, which will be affected by the strike if it happens. Earlier this week, Bill White came to Union Station in downtown Portland to catch his train to Wisconsin, but got some bad news.
I get in there and the lady says, "What train you taking?" And I said, she says, "That's been canceled." And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Bill was headed to Wisconsin to meet family. He had moved out of his home and now he's staying at a friend's house until he can figure out how to get to the Midwest. He's on a fixed income.
Sent all my money ahead to my family, of course. Literally where I had like $20, well, I had $40 left. And that was for the baggage because I've been on trains before. And I'm like, if I didn't have my friends from Revolution Church, I'd be homeless right now.
The Washington State Department of Transportation warned people about the service adjustments on its website. It says tomorrow Amtrak will provide buses for passengers who need them so they won't be stranded mid-trip. WSDOT says if the strike happens, people will not be able to take Amtrak trains anywhere in this area.
The deadline for the negotiations is midnight on Thursday night Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. here. So once that decision is made, no further trains will be operating beyond that point.
White says he knew nothing about the cancellation of his train, and this has been a logistical nightmare for he and his family.
Because of this, I'm probably not going to go to Wisconsin. It's just, the logistics and everything, and when you put all your time and effort into something, and you're on a set income, you don't have many choices.
If labor negotiations are resolved, service will return to normal. Laurel.
Meanwhile, it's definitely having a serious ripple effect. Thank you, Bryant. Ridgefield schools were closed again today because of the ongoing teacher strike. They walked out last Friday. And today, Ridgefield teachers say they passed a vote of no confidence in district leaders. They cited frustration with the pace of negotiations so far. The union wants more money for mental health support and special ed students. The district says it's doing the best it can within its budget constraints. Both sides went back to the bargaining table this morning. No word yet if there will be school tomorrow. We will provide any updates here on air and on KGW.com.
Well, we have been talking a lot about inflation that is hovering near 4-decade highs, and now that pain looks like it's about to extend to some rent bills in Oregon, because in 2023, landlords will be able to hike rent up to a whopping 14.6%. Let's bring in Tim Gordon now. And Tim, for perspective here, this year that cap is sitting at less than 10%.
Yeah, big difference there, David. And as you can imagine, landlords are now trying to calm fears that everyone's rent will be raised across the board to the max, and renters are very concerned that is exactly what might happen. So how did state officials come up with a cap so high that would allow landlords to raise rents as much as 14.6%? Well, a state law passed in 2019 set a first ever statewide cap of 7% plus the inflation rate. Well, based on this year's skyrocketing inflation, economists did the math and it comes out to 14.6. But renters advocates say it's been tough enough on the 40% of Oregonians who rent, especially for those who are barely getting by now.
Many households are paying over 50% of their income to rent as it is. So this is just a recipe for increasing our homeless population. We know right now that a 14.6% rent increase is an eviction.
Just because the limit is 14.6 does not mean that every landlord is just going to automatically raise their rent by 14.6%.
Now, that second voice from the Portland Area Rental Owners Association, who also pointed out that inflation has cost property owners too. And by the way, in Portland, there is a 10% cap before landlords face penalties like helping you with relocation if you move out. Governor Kate Brown signed the 2019 rental cap bill into law at a time when inflation was under 2%. Now she wants the 2023 legislature to take action to mitigate future increases. Her office saying with today's inflation rates, it makes sense to re-examine state law. Laurel?
Thank you, Tim. And now to election season in Portland. Today, the Portland Police Association endorsed Rene Gonzalez for city commissioner. He's running against incumbent Joanne Hardesty. Earlier this week, the Portland Firefighters Union also endorsed Gonzalez. That's significant since Hardesty oversees the Fire Bureau.
And beyond gun crime and violence, our homeless crisis is also one of the key issues for Portland voters. This evening, we're following up on a large encampment off North Columbia Boulevard surrounding businesses say is still causing major problems. Now, we first went to this camp about 2 months ago. At the time, the city says it was on their list for removal, though turns out it's still there, and neighbors say it's gotten worse. Now, the city told our Blair Best their impact reduction team has assessed this property 7 times in 60 days. And here we go. They say it's scheduled to be removed soon. Now, as for nearby business owners, they say they're still dealing with some campers stealing and worried about their safety.
The mayor, he's wanting people to work with him. What more can we do? We're telling the police department all these shots we're hearing. We're telling all the theft that's going on. My wife has emailed all the city commissioners, the mayor, no response.
Oh gosh, every day it impacts our business. We're losing thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands now.
They're gonna have to pay me to move or I'm not moving.
Well, Portland police tell us they were at the camp Friday night after someone reported gunshots, though officers say they didn't find any evidence of gunfire. Police add they often get calls about this particular camp.
What was supposed to be a beautiful honeymoon along the Oregon coast turned into a devastating experience. Someone broke into the newlyweds' truck and stole all their belongings. Christelle Kumwe joins us now. And Christelle, you spoke to them today. They must be heartbroken about this.
weekend. Just 2 days later, while they were on their honeymoon at their beach, their truck was broken into and all their wedding gifts, along with some personal items, were stolen. Last Saturday, Carly and Joe Giorso took a vow to spend the rest of their lives together.
Yeah, it was the most wonderful, truly the most wonderful day of our lives.
After the wedding, the couple packed up their truck for a honeymoon road trip to towns and beaches along the Oregon coast. Their first stop was Monday at Seal Rock State Park.
We had such a good time there. We were just looking at some of the pictures that we took. Gosh, it was so fun.
But that was cut short.
One action by somebody can just take you from being on such a high and then bring you down so low.
After about 2 hours on the beach, they came back to find their truck had been broken into. Wedding gifts, vows, wallet, and suitcases all gone, along with items the couple says others may deem worthless but had great sentimental value to them.
One thing that we have that's really special to us is, in fact, a journal that we have that has every day since the day we met, literally. We were kind of hoping to get back to our childhood stuffed animals.
They filed a report with Oregon State Police, but say no one actually came to the scene.
It just sounded like this happens a lot over there, and they just handle it over the phone is what they told us.
Joe and Carly are now working with a private investigator in hopes of getting some of their cherished memories back.
They don't want those journals. They don't want our stuffed animal. They can keep whatever our money, whatever they want.
Yeah, that's fine.
They don't want our special things. That's all we want back.
But at the end of the day,
we're hopeful that maybe some of this stuff might turn up.
And grateful to both be safe and together.
That truly is the main thing. We are so thankful for that. I mean, it's, yes, truly.
Yes.
We are the luckiest still. Yes, by far.
Oregon State Police says there are currently no leads in this case, but is asking anyone with information to reach out to them. David?
Oh, honeymoon heartbreak, and I'm just glad they are, yes, fighting this together. Thanks, Christelle.